Hey there, Ian here. And today I'm talking about communication, a huge topic for sure. But there's one word that has been driving me nuts for a while now, and that is the word over-communication. Come on, we need to over-communicate here. No, you don't. When it comes to communication, more is not always better. How do we get the balance right? Stay tuned. Hello there, Ian here, and it's a pleasure to be able to be with you. I hope this is catching you happy, healthy and strong. So, when it comes to communication, more does not always equal better. Unless you're at one end of a particular spectrum where you've got no communication happening at all. In that case, then more is likely to be better because at least there's some communication happening. At least there's some exchange of ideas, and you're likely to get better results as a consequence of at least putting some communication in place. But when we've got communication happening on a regular basis, I'd like you to remember one phrase. Good communication is good communication. It's not necessarily more. So, if you think you have to share everything that you're doing, everything that's going on, and hope that that makes things better, you're likely to be mistaken. Your brains, our brains, are specifically designed to ignore most of what comes in. Most of the stimuli that we could pay attention to in terms of vision and hearing and touch and other senses that come in, we ignore 99%. I forget the actual percentage, it depends on what you read. But just imagine that the vast majority we ignore because we go crazy. So the idea of over communication is probably going to just drive people nuts. So what is better communication? Well, when I work with companies, we institute something called the Daily Huddle. And with most companies, the resistance that I hear is, are you nuts? Do you know how busy we already are? Do you know how many meetings and how much time it already takes, and you want to add a meeting to the schedule? And the answer is yes, because with many companies, and myself included in the past, when we have a meeting, we spend, it ends up taking too long. And one of the reasons is because we're sorting out mistakes and issues, we're getting realigned and back on the same page with where things are. We've got problems to solve, as well as trying to get to the thing that we need to decide in that meeting. A daily huddle can cut through a lot of that. It makes sure that we know the current status information, we know where people are stuck, and we know one or two metrics very, very closely, and we're able to track whether we are in line with where we expect it to be. So when we have that short daily, 10 minutes normally maximum for a team, when we have that daily, we cut through a lot of that fluff and misaligned expectations and problems, that kind of thing. So when we get to a weekly or a project meeting, we're much more able to focus on what we need to decide in that meeting. How do we know we're getting the balance right? Well, my stock answer to that is results. If you've got a set of leading and lagging indicators and they're in play and you're making good progress towards your larger goals, and your people are not burning out or not leaving you in droves, you know you've got communication about right, I would say. You can always improve it, but I'd say you're getting that balance about right. If things are not in balance, then communication might be one of the things that you have to look at and make sure that there's not too much information, but the right amount to help support the people and the processes. Last thought, and this can be a bit of a blind spot for some of us. When we are the senior leader, if we're the CEO or the managing director, or that we're leading a substantial team, a fact of life is that our words carry more weight. And sometimes, I mean, I heard this quite recently of a senior manager who was sort of sharing ideas, and he was saying that we ought to try that, we'd give that a try, maybe that would work. And suddenly a week later people are busy doing what he had suggested, and he says, no, I didn't say that we're going to do it now, they were just ideas that we were discussing at the time. So be careful of what you say, always, but particularly when you're in a senior position of leadership, because sometimes people take what you say very literally when you might be just discussing ideas. So remember, good communication is good communication. It's not necessarily more. Getting the balance right, you know that the metrics, leading, lagging indicators, and your people, if they are nicely in balance and you're progressing nicely, chances are communication is working really well. If those are out of balance, we need to look at, well, maybe a few things, but communication is particularly one of them. So I hope that did make sense and give you some ideas. And until we share again, take care of each other, and bye for now.